Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Chico, Rev, and Ben, yep, they're at it again. Breaking down the team, putting stats up in your head. Nothing left unsaid, they're leaving it all on the field. Just like the favorite team, raising 2 cups and will shield. The knowledge isn't real for a trio so true to representing the gray, red, white, and blue. And you love them too, that you can't deny. So just one time, let me hear Dallas till I die. Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Soccer podcast?
Welcome to Big D After Dark, where tonight we talk about the gut-wrenching loss for FC Dallas in Minnesota. A last-minute goal to put the Loons ahead and have FC Dallas go away with no points to show for their hard work on the road. And yet questions remain. What is it going to take to get this offense going? What's not working? So many questions, such a difficult result. We're going to talk about that, the MLS salary roster drop, and a lot more, including North Texas Soccer Club. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Big D After Dark. Hey folks, welcome tonight. We are live here on Big D After Dark. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here with us, and I'll tell you, we have a host of challenges tonight. We had a last-minute cancellation on one of our guests, and Jose is trying to connect with us, and hopefully he'll be in here in just a bit, and we'll bring his perspective. So right now it's me. It's good old me. I'm Nathan Hill. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill on Twitter. We're here to talk about FC Dallas, and I'm here to hear from you as you join in to talk about that gut-wrenching loss against Minnesota. I'm kind of flying solo here for the moment, but I have some clips to get to. We can talk about the game. We got some good stuff to touch base on, and hopefully that gives time for our buddy Jose to link up with us here on Skype, and then we'll bring him into the show. But right now, just a reminder that if you're watching us here on Facebook or on YouTube, send in your question, your comment, your reaction about FC Dallas's late loss to Minnesota. It's a game that just has people talking on BigDSoccer.com already. That loss against Minnesota, it was gut-wrenching. It was difficult. Here we go. Let me bring in Jose here. All right, Jose, we're live. Jose, so you're coming in.
I know we're live. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right.
Got a brand new phone, and for the love of me, I could not get my Skype to work.
Yeah, this was different. If this was a podcast, like a typical, we'd be pre-recording at some point. And no, we're just doing this live. We're just doing this live, and we'll, screw it. We'll do it live. That's the attitude. So, Jose, get yourself situated there. And, we're welcome Jose Carmona. You can follow him at El Chico Carmona. And with all due respect, Jose's had a big week and hasn't even been able to watch the game yet.
I've watched portions of it, but not the entirety to get the game flow. But I am aware of most of the big issues that happened.
Well, I'm gonna show the 4-minute a clip that I was able to download from the FC Dallas site. I'm hopefully I have no of the audio. There might be a little bit of audio from the game itself. There it is. Let me bring it down so that way we don't get flagged for having. A really tough match. FC Dallas came out in the 3-5-2. More of a. I'm going to keep that audio a little bit lower. More of perhaps a defensive first kind of mindset. With
very disappointed with that.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible in the first half. In fact, in the first half, it wasn't a bad effort on the road. There was definitely energy. The team worked hard. The team got the ball forward. They generated some opportunities. They limited Minnesota's chances in some ways. Still some juicy chances like little giveaways coming out of the back, things like that, but. FC Dallas was a little bit unlucky not to at least get a more clear shot on goal or at least one goal out of the first half. And that would have changed the whole outlook of what was to come. But then you shift into the second half and really it was a game of two halves. And Minnesota came out knowing that they had nothing to lose. They pushed the game, they pushed it, and FC Dallas kind of didn't weather the storm, and the subs didn't seem to work very well for FC Dallas in this game. They couldn't get their legs under them. It was like our guys at times looked like the team that had played 2 matches in a week, whereas Minnesota was that. Minnesota had like something 20-plus shots on FC Dallas. So sure, some of those shots were low quality and were poor and easily saved, but
they were going for it.
They were going for it. And at some point, unless you just have a really great defense and a great defensive midfielder and stuff, you're going to find the way through it. And it came down to a set piece, a failed clearance by Jose Martinez. But really, the second half, though FC Dallas had a moment or two, it was all Minnesota. And the more interesting thing was to see Shun come out and play, making his second appearance for FC Dallas. This kid just won the Hungarian Young Player of the Year award. He's known as a goal scorer. He has some skills. I think he's a great signing. Lucci had him come in at left back. So Ryan Hollings had switched to right. And Shun just either wasn't ready for the pace of play, but he just got blown by late in the match. And Minnesota had their way with that side of.
I understand that.
Yeah.
That they immediately went after him, and you can't blame them. I mean, you got a guy who basically arrives and has been here less than 2 weeks, and I don't know, maybe he's blowing them away in practice. But it seems like, I don't know, it seems like a detriment for both the team and the player that Lucci played him there. I mean, I'd expect, if Hollingshead's not going to play there, I expect Nelson to play there. And if Nelson's not going to play there, then I would expect Njoma to play there. So you got a guy who's, fresh off the plane and really, and he has played there, but he's known more as a good defensive winger as opposed to a good left back. So I don't know if Lucci was looking to was thinking that he was going to basically just send him forward and not use him on defense at all, which is maybe what he was going for, and it backfired as Minnesota basically overloaded on him. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all pretty tired of the 3-man back line at this point. I mean, I saw the starting lineup. I was all excited for what it looked like. But at the same time, 3-man lineup means, hey, we're going defensive. We're going to absorb the pressure. And honestly, you got a team that I know Minnesota's at home, but you got a team that played a game. Was it on Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
I think I understand that he was trying to sort of pressure, but I kind of wish they would have pushed the tempo. Sure, maybe you're giving up a cheap goal or two, but the point is that Minnesota is very likely the ones that would have the tired legs towards the end of the game, and maybe then you could then push hard. You know, you saw North Texas do that in their USL game, where they they were not the better team for the majority of the game, but once you hit that 60-minute mark or so, and they brought in their bench guys, then all of a sudden it looked like a completely different team. They were the fresher, more aggressive team down the stretch, and that's kind of what I was hoping to see from Dallas. I was hoping that Lucci would come out and make it a back and forth game and push it, and hopefully counting that his guys would be in better shape. But that's not what he went for. I mean, he went for. I understand he was trying to keep the game close and steal a point later, but a team like Minnesota, who had high expectations, from what I'm getting is that they seem to have grown into the game, so they gain confidence, and that's not what you wanted. I mean, you got a team that just has one win, and now you basically. I know that nobody's happy with what Lucci did and the substitutions, his substitution pattern and the formation. And right now, I think the frustration in Dallas is pretty high. I guess it would have been higher if Minnesota had lost midweek and this was their first win. But at the same time, I mean, it's just disappointing to see the team come out there and play that way.
We have Todd Chatterley is joining us. Hey Todd, how are you? And thanks for watching the show. And Todd says he was keeping his bosses happy. He referring to Lucci. His bosses suck. Thanks, Todd.
And I want to add on to that comment. He was keeping his bosses happy, and you have to wonder. And this is, I think, a lot of fans are wondering: is we all think that he's only starting Hara to appease his bosses, but the fact that he's played Shun in back-to-back weeks and he found a way to get him into the game this last match, are we seeing him being forced to play two players now instead of just one? Where we're like, oh my God, they're forcing Hara on him. So are they now forcing Shun on him also? I mean, who's running this team? I mean, I'm sorry, but let's face it. I'm excited for Shun. I think he can help this team, just not at left back. That's not what anyone's expected. And honestly, when you see a player like that seems to be played out of position, it screams of, I need to find minutes for this guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're all shaking our head now, wondering if some of this stuff is being forced on Lucci.
Well, look. Let's.
I agree. I think Shun's going to be a good answer at left wing to push Vargas, but that's not where he was played this last match.
Well, that's a great transition, because in the post-game media call, I jumped on, was able to be there, represent Big D Soccer, and I was able to ask Coach Lucci that question. And in the moment, I was, you could just tell Lucci was deflated from this loss, was very frustrated, was very disappointed in himself and the team for not being able to come away with something out of that match with the effort they put in. And it was clear the team worked their butts off, and the team worked hard. And that go-ahead goal came off of sort of a flubbed, sort of a half-header to a goal that Jose blocked, but then Jose Martinez blocked and just couldn't get his feet, getting his position right until it was put away. So it's just a really heartbreaking moment. But so I could read that on Lucci, and you'll be able to see it on this clip. If you're watching, if you're listening, you'll just be able to hear it in Lucci's words. Now, I asked this question, and I wondered, am I pushing it too far? I'm sort of new at this media game, post-game, pre-game availability. Like, am I not supposed to ask these kinds of questions? But I just went for it because I felt like this is what fans wanted to know. So let's listen in to my question with Lucci. Salaries that we've been hit with on our. one question this week, especially with MLS releasing player salaries, that we've been hit with on our site at Big D Soccer a lot, time and time again. It's just that frustration over what Hara brings to this team. And I know he's a quality player, a veteran player. But the question has been, does he fit what this team, what your vision is for kind of how you want to get the ball forward and attack? And so I'm just curious how you would rate his performance tonight, and just, do you feel as a coach you have the freedom to start somebody else if you feel the need to make the system work, your vision work for soccer and how FC Dallas should play?
2020 was a challenging year for everybody in the league, and for us. Franco joins us mid pandemic, and it wasn't an easy transition. He got some important goals for us that helped us get into the playoffs. So I saw him fantastic in the preseason. We created some objectives for the preseason, and he certainly responded to them. Scored some goals, fantastic energy in the pressure, fit, mentally ready, excited, and yeah, I would say for sure fitting into the plans and how we want to play with and without the ball. I see a player that's giving everything for this team, and sometimes you give everything and you want it so bad that it doesn't happen. Those things can happen in life. So he's our player. He's very important to this team, and he's going to keep working, and he's gone through things like this in his career before. We've talked about it, and he knows it's just a matter of time before he can change it. And I believe in that. I'm doing it myself as a head coach, and our team is doing it as a team. So yeah, we have good depth, young pieces like Pepe. We have Jesus, unfortunately, who's been injured since the beginning of the season. He got hurt literally the training leading up to the first game of the season, which was unfortunate. He was very, very, very good after the Olympic qualifier and coming back with us those 2 weeks. So, but with like I said, Pepe has scored a goal, and he's a young player that is very dangerous, and we have our depth. We're going to look at and analyze everything this week, and we'll try to put on the field and start and end with what we feel is best. But Franco is important for us to reach our objective.
Yeah, so there's Lucci. You can just tell this is not his normal bubbly self. He was very disappointed in the result. Felt like the team, as hard as they worked in the first half, that they should have. What's going to work? What's not going to work? How are we going to get results? Franco Jara was the big topic this week on the website of Big D Soccer, of just $3 million, 3 million big ones, and he has 7 goals. Like you could compare him a little bit to Chicharito, who came in and has had 8 goals of that time, and I think he scored again this weekend. So that stat has changed. Chicharito is actually on fire and is actually really lighting up the fan base and playing well for Greg Vanney's LA Galaxy outfit there. But yeah, like Franco Jara is a cheaper comparatively version of that, I guess. And we just haven't seen it yet. And especially in a game like this, it was certain he worked hard. I think that's clear. There were moments that he showed his quality of holding up the ball and turning and getting the ball forward and advancing the attack and looking for passes. But there were so many moments, I'm going to say so many, but there were at least 3 or 4 moments where he was in the penalty box. This is your star $3 million striker, the highest paid player on the team, and he looked to pass rather than take a shot. Is it confidence? Is it rhythm? Is he just try? Is it overcoaching? Is he trying to think too hard or trying to make it too perfect? It's the question. But then by the 30th, 40th minute, you could just see he is gassed, and he's not a guy that's going to kill you on the breakaway. He's not a guy that's going to be able to chase down balls. He works hard. I think he can have a role on this team. I think he has quality, but does he fit? And so I trust Lucci. If Lucci says he's part of the team, he fits. I trust that. Lucci sees what he can do and knows what he can do from practice. But boy, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to figure out.
We've been asking if maybe Lucci needs to change the way he's lining out the team to better suit what Howard brings to the table. And actually, most of us have been asking, why hasn't he done that? And in reality, I actually liked the idea behind the formation they rolled out for this match. You know, with three in the back, but unlike the previous two times that they rolled it out, this time they actually had three midfielders. You know, in Tanner, Acosta, and Ricarte, and then you had O'Brien up top with Hara, and I thought that's what we've been asking for, is that maybe that Hara needs to be working with alongside another striker, and so I did like the idea behind the formation, and the execution wasn't there. But then again, you know, this is definitely a third formation that he's rolled out, so you can't just expect him to basically come in and look good doing it. So I'm curious to see if this is just an evolution of the, basically he was rolling out like a 3-4-3 before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe we're seeing that evolution of Lucci basically trying to find ways to, mold the formation to better suit Hara. And, in the future when, Chewy returns, then they would have the same formation, but you would have Chewy and Hara up top, which would probably work better in that regard.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I mean, we agree this roster has talent. They have talent defensively. They have talent in the midfield. They have talent in the attack. Probably more talent than a lot of FC Dallas rosters have had in the past, especially when you talk about a guy like Shun. But it's right. It's a big question mark. Todd says, why? Why stick with that formation? Why keep Hara on the field? They created so little. And to Todd's point, I mean, there were even moments where O'Brien, in the match, yeah, all right, here we go. In the match, like he looked to pass. He looked for Vargas making a run on the far end. It was an interesting decision by Lucci. I'm sure they game planned, they thought it through. It didn't quite work. The other question, yeah.
Vargas didn't play this match though.
Right, but it felt like there was a time he was looking for that next runner, that person coming on the other wing. And
he would be looking for that left wing guy to make, and he wasn't there. So I understand what you're saying is, he was basically not playing to the formation that he was in. He was basically playing to the previous formation that he was in, which I think that makes sense. When they're not used to playing a certain formation, the passes are different. The runs are different. The people making those runs are different. And really, this is the third formation that Lucci's rolled out there. And at some point you're like, God, I wish we would just settle on one and get this team on the same page, because that's basically what's happening is you're getting, especially on attack, you're getting a disjointed mess.
Yeah. Ben Funch, thanks for watching. Ben says, feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. It's Peppy time. I guess that's it. It is. Why not? Why not? Yeah. I mean, and yeah, Todd says he wasn't. Yeah, Vargas wasn't there because they played a 3-5-2. Of course, the question is, we do need 12 out there right now. Yeah, that's what Todd says. Well, look, the other issue that's a tweak is that the right back position is really interesting. I'm on board the Munjoma train. I think Eddie Munjoma has the potential to be a really solid right back. And he's growing into the position. It's going to take time. We saw it took time with Reggie. It took time with the short amount of time with Brian Reynolds. But Munjoma, you saw at moments in this game, as I paid attention to his performance, he did okay defensively. He didn't get torched too bad. He managed his responsibilities well, and I think that showed to a strong first half. But there were times where he was a little hesitant to get forward. And in a 3-5-2 that they played, you really need a right back who's going to feel that aggressiveness. There were moments he picked his part to get forward, but there were moments where he stayed a little too close to Ricarte or to Acosta, or whoever was closest to him. And the team lacked then some width, some of that ability to get forward. So there's just a lot of pieces. And I think that's why I wondered if Shun came out in that left, because Lucci thought Shun could really push the game on the left, and then Hollingshead could shore up the right.
Like I said, I think I said that earlier, that I think maybe Shun was brought in, and Lucci's idea was that they would keep him higher and not actually be more of an attacking left wing back. But apparently that failed. But I want to say with Munjoma is right now you think that he's being asked to stay back defensively.
He probably is, right.
And I think we saw that early with Cannon and Reynolds, where they were, of course, I think Reynolds was given the green light to go forward faster because he had the speed to recover. But Cannon was actually played very defensively early on before he grew into it. And I have the feeling that that's what they're doing with Munjoma right now. The question is for how long? When are they going to unleash him? He can be dangerous going forward. But, I just want to point out again that Brandon Cervenia continues to play at right back and right wing back in Austria, and continues to start in that same position and continues to look good going forward. Not so good defensively, believe it or not. He looks better in the attack. So you get that whole Cannon. We may have that whole if Cervenia comes back and is asked to play at right back, right wing back, we could have that option where Munjoma is your more defensive, your better defensive player, and Cervenia is your better attacking player. Because let's face it, if Cervenia isn't going to be sold to a team that's getting demoted now, by the way, so very unlikely that he's getting sold there. He's coming back. Are they going to play him at defensive midfield, or are they going to play him at right back where he's getting a lot of minutes? You have to think that Lucci and FC Dallas are requesting that he be played there. Most teams basically when they loan a player, they have an agreement as to where they expect their players to be played. So it makes me wonder the fact that Cervenia keeps getting played in that position.
That is interesting.
That's something that he comes in, and it'll be which would be a sensational, by the way. I'm drooling at the possibility that it'd be Munjoma against Cervenia for the right back spot, but
we'll see.
You would hope that by the time Cervenia shows up, that Munjoma would hopefully have that locked up, and it will even be a battle.
Yeah, so this team has growing to do. I'm of two minds of this game because I think there was effort and there were some ideas out there. There weren't enough generated, as Todd points out. I think there weren't enough real clear chances.
Absolutely.
And there were a couple of moments that should have been handled better that the team just can't afford to waste opportunities. But the fact that they ended up giving up a late goal off of a corner kick, so it wasn't even in the run of play, it was a set piece kind of thing, and it was a little hectic and crazy. You could take some positives from that, but stringing together how they've started this season, I don't want to take too many positives. I think this team knows they need to rebound with a win this week at home. They need to get their season started. They really need to move in the right direction. So we'll see.
I think the results on the road really hammer how important it is for Dallas not to lose any points at home. Those selling for draws at home, that's what really is panicking, the fans. That's like you said. Honestly, anything but 3 points from their next match, and there will be some serious panic going on in Dallas, knowing that they got a road game after that. So,
yeah. And we've seen this team start strong in the past. We'll just see. It's going to be a long season. Some of the teams that are hot right now are going to struggle. I just saw that Aaron Long for the Red Bulls, he is out this season with an Achilles tendon tear. So wish him a speedy recovery. I know that's really tough, but we're going to see some of that. We're going to see injuries and complications and dips in form by some of these teams. I'm not sold on LA Galaxy yet. I think they're going to be definitely more competitive, but I think at some point it's going to catch up to them.
LA Galaxy, on a tear, and LAFC at the bottom of the table. Wow.
Can't write the script. Well, let's shift over to the salary cap, the salary roster drop that happens every year. It's kind of fun for us fans to see. The overall good news is that FC Dallas is really doing some some tidy work in this area, getting some quality players for a good price, for a good value. Hara is the one that stuck out. We've already talked about him. $3 million. In the hunts in the past, we've criticized them for not going out and spending big on players. They did in this circumstance, and so far it's not working out quite the same. Maybe not as bad as Dinelson. If our buddy Ben was here, he would say that. But like some great value. You got a starter right now in Tanner Tessman who's making $130K or something like that. I don't know. Was there anything that stood out to you, Jose, about the salary drop?
I mean, it's got to be. I mean, you can't get past that Hara number. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's making 30% of the entire FC Dallas roster. That's 30%. That's a mind-blowing number for a guy who's not producing anywhere near that. And I think that's just driving everybody insane. But here's something, if there is a bright light under this, in this, is that the numbers from this year compared to last season are actually about $2 million below what they were last season. Because last year was a little over 12 million. This year is a little over 10 million. That means, considering they still have 3 roster spots open, and the money they supposedly are getting from the Reynolds sale and all these other sales, and now the rumor that Cannon could be moving also this summer, they get a big cut of that if that happens. It means that Dallas should have quite a bit of money available to reel in some reinforcements. And to me, it's shocking that you had I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Cerrillo as your number 6, which hinted at him getting minutes, and he hasn't really got any minutes there. And I think that's a problem. I mean, we both know that Tanner and Acosta are not true number 6s.
Mm-hmm.
And Acosta, by the way, he's
playing well. No complaints.
He's looked. I mean, he continues to ball out. He continues to justify his salary. But we do really miss Santos out there, and that's something, as big as Hara's salary and his lack of production is there for everyone to see, the fact that we're missing Santos is also there for everyone to see. And you have to think that that's the first order of reinforcement. If you're not going to give Cerrillo minutes, if he's not your guy, then they need to bring somebody in for that spot, and they certainly have the money to do it. I mean, it's not a sexy, it's not a sexy reinforcement, but we need stability, not sexiness at this point.
Yeah. We welcome
Serena can play there. Serena can play there when he comes back, but again, he's also not a true 6. So
we welcome your cat to the stream.
Oh yeah, he loves his attention. Hold on, I know.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
That's
My
great.
cat's a climber.
Yeah, well, and there is a good rumor that FC Dallas is looking at a really intriguing Brazilian prospect, right?
Well, they're looking at Argentinian.
Oh, an Argentinian?
Facundo, I can't think of his last name.
I love cats. Cats are great.
Quignon. Facundo Quignon out of is it Lanús? Or is it Lanús or Lanús? From Argentina's top flight. That's the hot rumor right now. I think I just reported on it recently. It was actually originally reported by Al Dia Dallas. They reported it like a week before we did, and we didn't report it right away because our reports that we were getting was that he was going to DC United and not FC Dallas. But recently, TYC Sports, which is basically the guys that cover the Argentinian league, and there's basically the guys that televise it worldwide. They basically said it's both FC Dallas and DC United that are in on Facundo Quignon, who would be a replacement for Santos. I mean,
Right.
so the rumor makes sense. He's 28 years old, and
Top flight guy, yeah.
he's a true defensive mid. He can play some center mid, but he's mostly played at D mid, and that's the kind of player that makes sense. But like I said, we're not certain that he's coming to Dallas. It's DC United, Dallas, and I have actually heard unverified rumors that he's got offers from Brazil and Mexico also. But
So we'll see. We'll see. Wow. Yeah. What's your cat's name, by the way?
this is Drogo. I'm a big
Drogo.
Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. And I think you're.
He's a climber, and whenever I'm on my computer or on my phone, it's the right time. You know, cats. Although this is the first time he's actually jumped in on one of our podcasts as many times as we've done them.
Well, let's shift over to North Texas Soccer Club. I was able to watch the game, and what a palate cleanser if you are feeling down against the FC Dallas. Now, North Texas, gosh, I'm already forgetting who they played.
They played South Georgia Tormenta.
Tormenta, yes, thank you.
It's Tormenta. I just call him Tormenta.
And Tormenta actually went up 1-0 in the second half. It was a cagey 0-0 first half with a lot of action back and forth.
It was basically each team seemed to dominate sections of that possession up until like the first goal, where Tormenta would dominate possession for X amount of minutes in the North Texas third, on their side of the ball, and then North Texas would do it. And honestly, it was frustrating because, watching the Revs, and North Texas, they're a young team. They're a very smallish team. I think they average about 5'9", 5'10". So they're not a very big team. And a lot of these independent teams like Tormenta, Union Omaha, Greenville, Chattanooga, who they lost to last week, these are big teams. We're talking, these are grown men. These teams that are average about 6 foot, 6'1", and are basically, they're going to go out there and they're going to beat up the kids in North Texas. And that's what they allowed Tormenta to do. They allowed Tormenta to basically, anytime North Texas tried to, get a breakaway or something like that, man, they were just getting taken down hard. And they were letting it, they were letting it go. They were letting it go. And, I mean, that went both ways.
It was a physical game, yeah.
North Texas.
Yeah, but North Texas kind of held their own. I mean, they didn't back down. They stood in there. They did what they needed to do.
And the third team that has done that to them, that's come out and basically attempted to beat them up, and that's what's happening is yes, I think they're learning how to avoid some of that contact, how to make that pass to get out of, and if you're going to get hit, try to get the ball to another teammate. And you're seeing them basically adjust, and that's what's exciting about the Tormenta match, is that Tormenta followed the playbook. Smash the North Texas youngsters, disrupt the flow of their game. North Texas is like, honestly, it's like watching one of the Brazilian teams in this league. At the USL League One level, I don't want to upset anybody, but in the USL League One level, North Texas is like one of those free-flowing Brazilian teams. They want to get out in the open. They want a free-flowing back-and-forth game where the plethora of attackers basically will swarm you and kill you on the counter, or just flat out kill you, going forward. And the independent teams have figured that you cannot allow that. And Tormenta did a great job until they scored the goal. And then what I was excited about was that Quill immediately responded with multiple substitutions
Multiple.
immediately as soon as they were scored.
Fresh
Something
legs.
I like Lucci do, by the way, and it worked because Tormenta did not adjust, and suddenly North Texas was loose, and they got the goal, and then after that, it was basically Tormenta it was all North Texas after that. Once.
Todd says, "Hey, Jose is covered in catnip and can't run away, kind of like
yeah.
Franco Jara." I'm telling you, Drogo.
My cats are climbers, and this is my life. So. You notice I'm wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
Which is actually it's like 73 degrees in here, so I should not be wearing a hoodie. But see these guys, they love to climb on me and they love to knit on me. So if I don't wear something thick, I will have little.
You feel it. Yeah. Well, look. Here's what I loved about that North Texas game. I loved, it was a great goal by Tormenta, by the way. Just a really splendid goal by Philippe, I think was his Philip or something. But anyway, right away, yeah. And North Texas comes back, and both of their goals are off the deflections, and they're not, so to speak, spectacular. They're not these once in a lifetime shots. They're just, especially the first goal was a situation where like you had so many attackers from North Texas in the box that Tormenta froze. They didn't know what to do, and so they basically let the guy run into the box, and he just took the shot. It deflected off a defender. It goes in goal. The keeper was the wrong way, and the second goal wasn't that dissimilar. Just pick your poison here. That Tormenta had nothing to do. But the other thing I like is Richard Sanchez, a story we haven't talked a lot about. But this is an FC Dallas homegrown player who went far afield and then played for Chicago for a while. Got some good minutes there in MLS. Is an MLS quality keeper, even if the situation didn't quite work and even if he wasn't perfect. But man, Sanchez comes in and he was a big help in this match, I think, to keep things. Sanchez is a man. He is a man, and a good player to enjoy to see.
My concern with that, because you got to remember, even though he was great back there, I was worried about the back line. I think I tweeted about it. Gomez and Para. Basically, the first time they've been paired together, they probably only practiced 1 week together. And this is where I was happy that Allison, who had been playing at center back, went back to playing his normal D-mid position where he could then protect the back line. And this is something that they didn't have against Greenville, which is the last match that Sanchez started where he allowed 4 goals. So it was good to see him go out there and look.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know he started against Greenville. I assumed it was the other kid.
No, he started against Greenville, but again, the back line for North Texas right now they're just starting. I don't think they've started the same 2 players. In any of the matches so far, they're basically just throwing whoever back there. And
Shuttler,
Gomez has only been with the team for about 2 weeks. And I think Pyra had only been with the team about 2 weeks when he started his first match, his second time. So there's still a lot of gelling that needs to be going on there. And I think finally, Gomez, Pyra may be our starting center backs going forward in the immediate future. And they look solid. They look solid. Sanchez looked good. I think we're going to have a regular rotation right now between him and the kid from Virginia.
Shuttler, right?
Yeah, Shuttler. Because it seems to me like they're basically next week probably Shuttler starts and then Sanchez. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I think they're both quality goalkeepers and maybe one of the two will grab the job and make it their own, but I have no problem with them rotating them.
Well, I love Sanchez getting those minutes because I imagine at the end of the season, Zobek is not likely going to have his contract renewed, and so there'll be a third spot opening up, and Sanchez would be a great potential guy in the mix for FC Dallas, and it depends on what they do with Felipe,
I mean, look at Sanchez. How old is he now? 26, 27?
Yeah.
Okay. that's young for a goalkeeper. I mean, we think of him as like, oh, he's been around forever. He's a veteran. He is a veteran, and he's played, in MLS and Liga MX. But by that positional standards, he's just a kid. I mean, look at Mar is our starter right now, and he didn't become a starter till what? He was 29, 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he became our starter. So Sanchez is very young for that position, and yeah, I mean, I think he's perfect. When they signed him, this is what I told. I don't know if I told you guys or I told Twitter is I loved the signing because Dallas was essentially stashing a backup goalkeeper in North Texas,
Mm-hmm.
For the future. So, like you said, that then if let's say Sonoda, what's our third goalkeeper?
Zobek, or yeah.
Zobek. For some reason, I have Sonoda in my head. But let's say they keep Zobek, but they let go of Felipe.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's an international spot, right?
Either way, Felipe is going to cost us about $2 million to sign, awful high for a goalkeeper, and you're only going to pay that if he's going to replace Mar as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So the math, any way you slice it, one of those three guys has to go, and that's where Sanchez. You're looking at a guy who's probably going to be the third stringer at least for FC Dallas next season, depending on how that plays out. Because Felipe, like I said, if they pay the $2 million, he's our starter. So does that mean Mar then goes? Is Mar going to be happy being a backup, or is Mar if they don't pay the $2 million, then he's not staying because he's alone. And if they pay the $2 million, they decide to keep Mar, then Sobek's got to go. So I mean,
I've liked what I've seen from Felipe. I think he's a quality player. He's a young goalkeeper. He could be a big piece of this franchise if they decide that makes sense. But it's also, you're right, like $2 million for a goalkeeper. I mean, is he a difference maker? Is he yards and leaps better than leaps and yards? What I think I had the background than Mar. I don't know yet. I don't think we haven't seen that. We haven't seen maybe what Jesse Gonzalez was able to do with some pretty amazing shot stopping ability. Maybe we'll see it. We got time.
So to me, is simply a younger, more athletic version of Mar. Really, the difference is, does he have the same command and positional knowledge that Mar has? And I think at this moment he doesn't. But he's still young, and as long as he shows improvement in that area, that may be enough. That's the one thing that he can basically narrow the gap between himself and Mar is. If Felipe shows better command and better communication and better positioning than when he got here, there's no way Mar can match his athletic ability and speed.
And his potential,
so that's,
yeah.
So the potential then trumps Mar, and then you have to decide, okay, if we feel that, say, in another year, Felipe will completely outclass Mar, then is that enough to pay the $2 million?
Todd says, "Hey, even that $2 million is better than Hara." And all right, yeah, we'll see. I hope Hara goes on a tear. I just hope he repays Lucci's faith in him. I mean, I think that's the start.
I want to point out a rumor I heard, and I'm not gonna say any name or anything because I haven't been able to verify it. It's just a rumor. It's an unverified rumor, but I wanted to only bring it up that the rumor I heard is that Dallas is looking for another loan player similar to Felipe, where they would bring in a guy bring in basically another young U22, U23 player that's, a good talent. Like Felipe is basically a great prospect, and that would also have a ridiculous, we think the $2 million for him is ridiculous, for a goalkeeper, and it's something like that. The rumor is that they're bringing in a player, and he'll have like a $3 million buy clause. So I'm keeping eyes on it. I haven't heard anything, but it makes sense that if they did it for Felipe, and they've been happy with it, then I could see how with Sanota, with all his connections in Brazil, why would he do that again? Why wouldn't he say, hey, even if you don't buy the guy, if he's a quality player and he gives you a good season, as a depth piece, I think, I think I would be okay with that.
Well,
'Cause
sounds
let's face
good.
it, in the past, before Sonota, the loanies that we would get from other teams were basically guys that were coming from injuries or
Right.
stuff like that. It wasn't anyone that you came in and said, "Oh man, this guy's got a ton of potential." Those were not the kind of loan players we were getting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a new. I mean, so that's what even for Felipe, there's a possibility that with this play, it's really helping him get a potential spot on the Olympic squad for Brazil. He goes
Yes.
out, he shows well there, then he gets an offer. Some other team comes looking, and so FC Dallas, exercises the right to buy, and then is able to sell this player, and so it's a short. There's a lot of scenarios here, and we'll have to see how the team handles it. But yeah, you're right. This summer could be a big summer for FC Dallas. There'll be room. But for now, I know we'll be looking ahead to Real Salt Lake at home. So it's a big win, and really Real Salt Lake is a good team. But this should be a win for FC Dallas. This should be a confident win at home.
I think it's a must win for Lucci. I think for the fan base to basically, I think we're all a little demoralized. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very optimistic person, and even it's very hard for me to get too excited when the same issues that we've had since week one are still there. Hara is still a headache. The attack's still not on the same page. The team's still, paying for mistakes. Even if they play well for most of the match, a simple mistake, they get punished. And they're unable to do that to the other teams, which I think was frustrating. So, yeah, a little sort of frustration is setting in with the fan base. And I say right now, it's a must win for this team. Mm-hmm. They can't afford to. Let's face it. If it wasn't for the LAFC start, we would be dead last in the West, and that would just be really hard for any FC Dallas fan to stomach.
It's not the right direction. Season's young. There's a lot of games to be played, so there's an opportunity for FC Dallas to turn it around. Hopefully they do. So we need to leave it there. We're really grateful for Drogo for the guest appearance. Really, as soon as that cat came on, our viewership doubled. So it may be a trick for those who are watching, those who are listening. Just know there was a cat present in this podcast, and it enhanced the quality of the podcast. So thank you, Jose, for that. Thank you for Todd and Perfection, another commenter, and Mindy. For all checking in with us. Oh, and Ben, it's great to have you all comment with us. You make our show different and legit and fun, and so we appreciate it. Make it cool. So remember, you can also follow our audio version on anchor.fm/Big D After Dark, and of course follow the good stuff at BigDSoccer.com. Get your articles, your fixes, and things, and I'll probably have another video clip from the media availability after Wednesday, and so be on the lookout for that, for player ratings, for other good content each and every week.
And I'll keep us posted on the 4 loanies that Dallas has out and about.
Yeah,
I may even do a Hoops Home and Abroad again. I've been slacking on that, and there's so many Dallas players,
right?
Former Dallas players across the world right now that
Reggie Cannon, the big rumor news about Reggie maybe going to Italy, which would be a great move for him.
Serie A, yeah. So what happened there is the original rumor was that he was going to go to Lille after one season in Boavista, but then the owner of Lille sold his team, and so the partnership that they had agreed to between Lille and Boavista fell apart. So now Boavista, mind you, Reggie Cannon is their most expensive player ever.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't really afford to keep him, even if they're staving off relegation like they are. So they have to move him. Everyone knows they have to move him. And the only offer they got, that verified offer that they received last season, was for 5 million euros from one of the other top teams there in Portugal. And Boavista turned it down and said, no, we won't listen to anything below 10 million euros. and that shut any transfer talk for him last season. But now the word is that they need to move him, and they're willing to move him. So Italian teams are set to be really interested right now.
It's exciting. All right, well, let's leave it there. Thanks, Jose. Glad you're able to join us, and thanks everybody for listening in, for watching. We will see you next week every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, right here, Facebook and YouTube and on Twitch. Good night, everybody.
Good night.